The audacity. Because while she was out here going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, bro, he was holding it down.
That's a fact.
On multiple occasions. Milchick is qualified, but he's overlooked. That's the purpose of DEI.
Crazy Stupid Podcast.
Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, if this is your first time watching, we'd love it if you could hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell so that you are aware of when we post things.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Crazy Stupid Podcast. My name is Esther.
And I'm Adrian.
So we're going to be talking about Severance Season 2, Episode 3, which is called Who Was Alive? I want to talk about Milchick and the little gift.
Yo.
I was hoping and I was suspecting that we were going to get a little bit more on Milchick.
Yo.
And we're about to get so much more on Milchick. And I'm excited. I think he's going to be a character where you hate him at first.
Yes.
And then once they give you a little bit more context here and there, suddenly he becomes a character that you may not like and you may not respect, but you understand. That scene, I feel like it brought up so many things.
My God, yes.
I want to be careful how I say this because we are in an era where DEI is under attack.
Oh, God.
And I am a proponent for diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in the workplace when done with sincerity. A lot of the DEI initiatives that have been in existence recently have been like this gesture.
Sure.
Empty and hollow.
Yeah.
And insincere and meaningless, or at best, well-intended but incompetent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The last school that I worked for was a predominantly black school, but the leadership was white. And so they would do things that they believed were equity-minded, but truly just had a very paternalistic bend to them, very patronizing. Now, I mean, we are working with children, but they were doing things that in the long term were not helpful. Sometimes there's like this insincerity that just makes the effort insulting and just...
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying with the insincerity or the incompetency surrounding those efforts, which I do get. I am a DEI practitioner. I work in the field in higher education, and we run into these conversations all the time where something that was well-intended, blind spots just kind of kicked in. I do think it sucks, though, that those are the ones that get highlighted the most. Those are the ones that get the clicks, the ones that go viral, because I would argue they are in the somewhat minority in terms of like the true efforts of like real equity and inclusion. Those are people that are like, they're not always in front of the camera. Like they're staying late on campus. They're doing the work. And so those people, I always make sure that when I see them, I'm like, I affirm them all the time, you know, because it won't always show up on a screen or on your phone.
Yeah.
There's two things that stood out to me. It was when Harmony Cobell was talking to Helena outside of Lumon, and she was advocating to get her job back, and she was like, Milchick can't do the job. The audacity. Because while she was out here going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, bro, he was holding it down.
That's a fact.
On multiple occasions. And then I do want to point out, and this is not me trying to praise anything that Milchick does, but in episode 2, my guy was running around the whole city doing damage control. He was stopping at every Audi's house.
True.
He was finding substitutes to bring in so that he could, so that Mark could have workers. He was a part of all this renovation. Now, some of it may have been insincere, but he was a part of all this renovation and restorative ideas to make sure Lumon felt a little bit better.
He's good at the job.
Yes.
The job sucks, but he's good at it.
And this is the issue that I felt like when you brought up the DEI conversation that I think is so frustrating is this idea of meritocracy that always comes up, because Milchick is qualified, but he's overlooked. That's the purpose of DEI. It's the fact that there are marginalized groups, specifically people of color, that where their merit is either undervalued or underappreciated or not even seen. And that's what was bugging me, because it's like, no way you had the nerve, bro. No way you had the nerve to say that about the guy who was holding it down for you for like how many years? I know it was a small thing. It shouldn't have meant that much.
I'm glad you noticed that.
But man, that was bugging the hell out of me, bro.
I'm very glad you noticed that.
Especially with all the DEI conversations, it was just like the nerve of Cobell to say that about
this
Milchick.
episode coming out this week is, I was like,
yeah, it's like too perfect.
The other thing I wanted to talk about that scene was the moment that Natalie and Milchick have afterwards. This is very real. This
Yes.
is a very, very real experience when you are one of the few Black people
Yes.
in the workplace, and you kind of have to feel out who is safe enough. And you could see on Milchick's face, he's like begging for a moment of just like, can we just be honest and frank about how messed up what just happened is? Not just him receiving the gift, but to add insult to injury. They have her say the board, the phrasing of it was awful.
Recanonized?
That was awful. But to have her say the board would like you to know that I received the same gift and I found it very meaningful. I think so often when we're interacting with her, we think about how her role serves to demean other people by making them feel less than because she appears as like important because the board trusts her as their messenger. But then in that scene with that line, you see she does not even have the autonomy to say those words for herself.
Yeah.
To say for herself, I received the same gift and I found it very meaningful. Even when she's quote unquote speaking for herself, she's not. She's speaking words that the board put in her mouth and made her say from them. There's something horrible about that, number one. So that just has insult to injury. But then you just see in that moment afterwards, and it's like there's this faltering on her face, and they almost get it. They almost get the moment to just be like, look at what we have had to endure and give up in order to get where we are as Black people in this company. And then they don't.
Milchick had been doing above and beyond work to try to move ahead in Lumon, specifically on that severed floor where he does get the job. But even in that instance, they still were not treating him any different. Just something as small, like in the first episode, where they hadn't updated his computer. And we saw moments where in that scene, you could see how frustrated he was because it's implied he had been asking them to fix this on multiple occasions. And then there's a second thing with the fact that he had to be the one doing all of this running around, which he's supposed to be the director, but he's still doing the same work.
Because you know why? Ms. Cobell had a person who goes inside and outside.
Right.
He has Miss Huang.
And it doesn't seem like she can ever leave.
That girl can't leave. She's not real. Whatever she is, she's not she doesn't have an outie.
No. I am hoping that he finally realizes you have reached your cap, bro. There's no more up than this. There's no more further in this career in Lumon and Severance than this. This is as far as how capable they think you are, my guy. Not to tread too far off, but to me, it just reminds me of so much of when I see men of color thinking that this capitalist system is going to save you, bro. It's not. There's a cap to how far you're going to be able to move in it. Sometimes some people get lucky, but it's not a guarantee.
And no matter how lucky you get, you'll always be experiencing racism. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It doesn't stop.
Exactly.
It doesn't
No
stop.
matter how much power you think you're going to get, you're going to always experience some version of it.
Matter of fact,
we still got NFL players. All that money that they got, and they still getting pulled over by cops, bro. That's just not going to change.
It's also the fact that the higher you go and the more you ascend, the closer in proximity you are getting to the people responsible for all of the racist policies and things that you were experiencing when you were down here with us. Of course, you're going to still be experiencing it in some way, shape, or form. I think one other thing, too, about Natalie's role is that the board, she's almost acting as their shield.
Yes.
She's their PR representative. She's the person going out. She did the outreach to Rickon. Right? She's talking on the news. She's the one going face to face, having these difficult conversations with their employees while the board is consistently protected by anonymity. We ain't seen a single face yet. We don't know who those people are.
It's the pain in Natalie's face where you can see she wants to, but she's terrified. She's terrified. I would say not just losing her status, but terrified of losing her life. And
something I was reading too said, for all we know, that girl could be severed all the time.
Yeah, we've never seen her in any other,
we don't know.
I do love the fact that he put the box away, that Milchick put the box away at the end of that episode, because it really shows that he does not approve this. And it's so icky of like, we're going to manufacture your history so that you can continue to commit your life to us. That's so...
Yes.
Oh my God.
It also adds to the deification of Keir, because that's what people do to Jesus.
Yeah.
And no hate, no shade, but everybody does it to Jesus. Okay, black churches got black Jesus, white churches got white Jesus. Ain't none of it accurate.
Right.
Okay. But like, that's not something that you do to like nobody is gonna be like, George Washington, we want you to see yourself in George Washington, and so we're gonna make this a black person. You don't do that to real historical figures, because it makes no sense to do it. And also because people understand that like, there's no need, I don't need to see myself in George Washington. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You do this stuff to figures that have spiritual meaning and that are recognized more as ideas and belief systems than they are real people. That's who you do this to.
Yeah.
So it's also just adding to that, the fact that we can recanonize here, it implies that he has this status as being more than a person who existed in the past and is, represents so much more than that. There's just so many layers to it. It's weird.
Icky. Full on sunken place vibes, bro. One thing that I was nervous about, man, bro, I'm scared about Dylan. Dylan tried to put it off as like, oh, my Audi's an F up. But it's like, no, it's not always that. Sometimes people just haven't found that career passion, and they're just searching all the time. And that's just a reality, an unfortunate reality of life. But I think she's going to want to go back. And I think she's going to want to see this version of a Dylan that has found his thing and is really good at his job. And I think that's going to make things very messy for Dylan, because he's not going to want to give that up. And if it's going to come down to choosing her over the other severed, like Mark and Irving and Helly, I think he's going to pull like a Benedict Arnold, man.
I think it could go a couple of ways.
Oy, oy, oy.
I do want to say real quick, I think that learning what we learned about Dylan's Audi in this episode, it like completed, not a theory, but like a theme that we've seen in the show about how what drove the innies was connected to what their Audi was missing.
Yes.
And now we understand why any Dylan was always so obsessed with like who his Audi was, because it sounds like his Audi hasn't quite figured that out yet. So I really appreciated that. It was like full circle. He was like the one missing component, and I was like, now we know. I love that. But I was thinking too that the thing with like these meetings with the wife, right, which we know at least right now her motivation is she needs any Dylan to keep his job. She's like, I need to come here and motivate you to keep your job and not do anything crazy, because we got kids to feed. And your Audi, he can't feed the kids if he doesn't have this job. But I feel like for any Dylan, the satisfaction of these interactions can only go so far, because no matter how many visits you have with the wife, no matter how many pictures she shows you of these kids, you will always be missing out. Like, there is no amount of this that can be the equivalent of an actual fulfilling life with this family.
Yeah.
Now, maybe you're right, and maybe he will just be really motivated by his relationship with her and by his desire to make her proud and be the caretaker for this family, which I could definitely see that. But part of me is like, maybe he'll also grow frustrated with the limitations of what they're giving him. And he'll seek something more, because integration solves this problem.
I had a question about reintegration. How exactly does this work for the severed people? Because are they joined together now?
Yeah, I guess the reality is the only difference between the Audi and the innie is their memory, what memory they have access to. And the differences between them are defined by what they do and do not remember experiencing.
Yeah.
So if you make it so that the innie and the Audi both remember everything, don't they then just become the same?
I guess I'm wondering, like, for things that, like, I would need to see them explore things like Mark being in love with Gemma, but Mark S having feelings for Helly. Like,
I think now he just deals with this conflict as Mark. What we are thinking of it as we're thinking of it as any Mark becoming outie Mark. Mm-hmm. But the reality is they're becoming each other. So I feel like now you just have to think about it as Mark. And Mark is just going to be dealing with the conflict of the fact that he has feelings for Helly and he also loves his wife.
Gotcha.
That's how I'm thinking of it.
That would make sense.
Yeah, I feel like the tendency is to assume that like the outie is like the dominant personality or whatever, and that they're like forcing the innie to conform to it. But I don't think that's how it works. Yeah. I think it's just these are two halves of the self that are joining into one now.
Yeah, it's
gonna make the story really, really interesting moving forward. I'm really surprised it happened that soon. I was not expecting that at all.
A lot of people were like, some TV shows would have waited to do that, like maybe season 3. But I do think the luxury of having it on Apple TV is that they can move at a pace that the directors and showrunners are happy about. You know, like I do remember there were a few moments when I would, as much as I loved The Acolyte, there were a few moments where it was like, all right, we kind of dragging this. Like the reveal of everything.
Let's pick up. Let's pick up the pace.
Or even sometimes in Agatha, I felt that a little bit. I mean, honestly, bro, as much as I love everything about that world, season 2, House of the Dragon, there were a few moments where it was kind of like, oh yeah, I didn't really think this part through. I think that's part of the luxury that they can probably have.
Like a little bit more creative freedom, just kind of
flow
how they want to flow.
I think so. I had tweeted that it's like, man, if Severance was on HBO, it would be the biggest show like of the year. And somebody responded and they were like, I don't even think Severance would have survived. Which I don't know, with the way Warner Brothers has been kind of looking as of late, you've got a case for that. You've got a good case for that.
I will say, like, it does suck sometimes when I'm like, someone asks you what I'm watching, I'm like, you need to be on Severance, and they're like,
what is
girl,
that?
I don't have Apple. They're like, girl, I don't have Apple TV. Like,
yeah.
literally happened the other day with P. It's like, oh. My advice is always just wait for the season to finish and then get a little, get it for a month or whatever, and just watch it because it's that good. Okay, there were a couple moments in this episode where the theory of Helly being her outie became a little bit more convincing to me.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not sold, but I see it. I still think there's a possibility that they're just dropping little things to confuse us. I don't know. Something about the moment when she like touched Irv's hand.
Okay, a lot of people brought that up, and I was like, damn, I don't want to mention it to you.
Something about that was weird.
Irv gave her a look.
Now, okay, the thing is, Irv might be giving her the look because we already know Irv distrusts her.
Yeah.
Because he believes she was lying.
Mm-hmm.
There is a possibility that is why he was giving her the look, that he is just kind of feeling a little weird about her. But it's also possible that he's feeling weird because he's picking up on something that's off.
Bro, it's that. It's you had a gardener at night.
And notice he told Dylan, but he did not tell Mark or Helly.
Because he knew Mark is too close to her, bro.
He doesn't trust her. I might need to go back and rewatch a little bit of season 1, but I think Helly is a little too happy
right now
in the office.
She had way more of like a dry humor, almost a little cynical nature to her. Yeah,
she's got a little too much pep in her step, and I also think I don't think she would have been this ecstatic to be back in Lumon, and she probably would have been the voice of skepticism about all of the stuff that Lumon was pushing as change, and she hasn't quite been as skeptical.
Yeah.
So I'm a little, I don't know. I also think the moment that Mark and her had in the hallway.
Right. That was weird as hell, bro.
It was weird, and I think she was too expectant. And I think the excitement, to me,
like
it reminded me.
Kiss?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the anticipation on her face, to me, it brought me back to when Outie Helly was watching the video over and over again.
And mind you, Mark didn't kiss her.
Yeah.
She left the elevator to kiss Mark.
Yeah.
So I think she read him wrong in terms of the social dynamics that Helly and Mark had a little bit.
Yeah. Part of me is like, perhaps the reason why they're letting Mark wander and go everywhere is because they know he's with Helly, right? And they're like, whatever. But there is another part of me that thinks that it's Outie Helly, but Lumon doesn't know it's Outie Helly.
Oh, I could see that.
The reason why I think that is because I feel like, number one, having Audi Helly go in would require Lumon to acknowledge reintegration or something. And they don't do that. Season 1, they were like, that's not a thing. Mm-hmm. But also, that would imply a level of responsibility that they're giving her that I don't think we have proof that they actually give her.
Well, especially not after the speech.
Yeah.
That
and
Helly
the way
gave.
that her dad spoke to her.
Right. Fetid Muppet.
Part of me thinks she went a little rogue. And maybe she's going in there as herself.
She got a little bit of a chip on her shoulder.
Yeah.
I could see it.
But then there is this other thing too, which is like, she cannot be reintegrated because those types of weird differences wouldn't be happening if she had the memories of Helly R.
Yeah.
So if she is going in as her Audi, that means Helly R right now doesn't exist. That girl dead. Until they like she gone.
Yeah, you might be right on that one.
Until something changes there. Like if that is Audi Helly, like any Helly, she just gone. That's not reintegration. Our girl, I don't know.
I don't think they would ever risk bringing Helly R back. Honestly, now that you're saying it out loud, with the fiasco that she is responsible for.
But she's alone is not responsible for that. It was very collective.
Yeah, but Helly R, I would argue, in their mind, in this particular moment in the story, caused the most damage.
Yeah.
And Lumon does not strike me as a person that would just kind of let bygones be bygones.
And risk it.
I'm not getting that vibe.
So you think that's Audi Helly and Lumon knows that's Audi Helly?
I don't know, but all I know is either Helena or Lumon would not just let Helly go off the hook. I don't see it.
Yeah. Especially
with the understanding of the plot. So I think she gone, bro. Now that you're saying it out loud, I think it's a dub. The only things that I had, one, shout out to Brienne of Tarth, yo. A real one.
I'm happy to see her getting, she been a little booked. She been kind of booked and busy, like on the
and
low.
I'm always be happy to see her, bro. I saw one theory that was like all Illuminati, they all aliens, and now I'm kind of like, think about it, bro. If you want to talk about how some of these people are being inhumane with their work practices and work environment, making them aliens would feel like a perfect metaphor. Now that I'm just it would be a little absurd, but honestly, everything in this show is absurd. So like, you wouldn't be all based in life.
It would be absurd, but it wouldn't be cliche.
Nah, I don't
because
think
this is like a completely different spin on alien invasion.
Yeah.
Like this is like, instead of bringing us up into the spaceship to test on us,
they're already here.
They're doing this.
They have integrated.
Whoa,
into our society.
I'm really happy that Mark got the confirmation about Gemma.
Yeah.
This doctor though, I need a little bit more.
I ain't got no problem with her.
How did she know where he was?
I think they've been following him.
I know she was like, yeah, we got interrupted last time. Girl, you should have led with that. What do you mean we got interrupted? The first words out of your mouth when you met Mark, not even saying hello, your wife is alive and she works at Lumon.
I think she wanted to test to see if like he had the resolve to really go through with stuff.
You give him the resolve when you tell him.
I don't know if that'd be enough.
That's literally what just happened.
Yeah, but she had already proven other stuff though.
Yeah.
Like,
he would have been more skeptical.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so. I'm like, girl, I just don't know.
No one deserves trust. That's just point blank period. No one has earned the trust of anyone.
I simply have to express my excitement at the casting being announced for the Children of Blood and Bone movie adaptation.
I don't think I saw everyone cast. I only saw like 2 people. I think I saw Idris Elba.
Okay. Viola Davis, Thuso Mbedu. I'm so sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but she's playing the lead. But we saw her in The Woman King. She was like the main person in The Woman King outside of Viola Davis. So we're getting them again. And what's nice is that the character that Viola Davis is playing is, if I'm remembering the first book correctly, which it has been years, but that character that Viola Davis is playing is like a mentor kind of person to the main character Zelly. So we'll kind of get to see that, like, whatever. Damson Idris.
I built it.
This next person,
by brick.
This next person, I don't. He's playing the love interest too.
Damson?
Yeah, I mean, he's more than love interest, but like, he's a love interest.
Damn, that's tough, bro.
It's a very good casting too, because like at the beginning of the story, his character is, and then it's basically like a Prince Zuko type situation.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. This next person, this actor, I don't know, but he's playing kind of like the main character's brother. So there's like four main characters. The main character is Zelly, and then there's her brother Zane. And then, like, kind of opposite them is the prince who Damson Idris is playing, and the prince's sister, Amari, who's played by Amandla Stenberg. The person playing Zelly's brother, his name is Tosin Cole. He was in something recently that I didn't see. Cynthia Erivo.
Oh, my God.
Idris Elba. Lashana Lynch. Regina King. It's crazy. It's crazy how much we won. Wow. This is why I was saying, like, I have not been this excited for a movie probably since Black Panther, and I might be more excited for this than I was for the Black Panther.
All right, y'all. Well, as always, we'd love to hear what you guys think. Let us know in the comments below. If you've got any theories, let us know. Any questions that you have for us, or just thoughts in the episode in general, feel free to let us know in the comment section below. And with that, we will see you all next time. Take care, everyone.
I want to hear all theories that are different from what everybody else is saying. Okay, bye.
For sure. All right, yo. Peace.